Everyone. We are really happy to have Helen Jackson here with us today. So Helen is the head of marketing at the Meath Epilepsy Charity. Over to you, Helen.
Thank you, and hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me. So firstly, it was lovely to hear from Marianne just now, and I should say Marianne and I, with our different both organisations, we've actually teamed up together to with the people we support to create the artworks that was seen in one of the exhibitions she was telling us about, and that's an example of a wonderful collaborative project that we've really enjoyed. So here at the Meath Epilepsy Charity in Godalming, and we're based right by Godalming train station, most conveniently, we support adults who live with really complex epilepsy and disabilities. So we support them primarily, we're a care home, so we have 82 residents who live here and are supported 24/7 to live safe and fulfilled lives on site here at the Meath Epilepsy Charity. But we also have a day service. So people who live on site go to our day service, which is called our skills centre. And in addition, we're pleased to be able to welcome up to 30 people typically, Monday to Friday, to take part in our broad range of skills-based sessions that are on offer at our skills centre. The sessions take place all between 9:30 in the morning, ending up between 3:30, 4 o'clock, depending on what the session is, Monday to Friday. So in terms of, as well as obviously the services we offer to the people we support, obviously to have that range of activities going on at a skills centre every day, in addition to the level of care that we have at in our residential services, volunteers really do play an absolutely integral role in our ability to deliver the breadth of service, but also the quality of service. So in our skills centre, within any 1 week, we'll have fitness sessions, things out in the community, so going swimming, cooking sessions, IT, pottery, a whole broad range, and then perhaps also more kind of traditionally sort of classroom type things such as geography and history. Absolutely every single session we run is supported by volunteers, and we wouldn't be able to do it some sessions at all if we didn't have volunteers. So case in point really would be swimming, our swimming group. So obviously we support people who have epilepsy. Swimming is quite a high risk activity just in itself, because unfortunately the water, of course, is a risk with seizures, and actually the relaxing effects of water unfairly can bring on a seizure. So it's really important that we find a safe way to enable the people we support to do the things they want to do. So our aim, you'll see on our website, our tagline is recognising ability. But to recognise ability, we need to think carefully about safety and about resources. And volunteers are an absolutely essential part of our ability to recognise ability and have that can-do attitude. So with regards to swimming, it absolutely came a few years back from some of the people we support. So we really wish we could do that. You know, it's such a shame. With staffing levels, we couldn't do it. We couldn't afford it. But with one-to-one volunteers swimming up and down with each individual who's a member of the swimming group, we can do it. So we managed to make it happen thanks to volunteers. And one volunteer is with us, it's been with us for years, is actually an ex-swimming coach. So there's a broad range of voluntary opportunities here at the Meath within our skills centre. Some of the volunteers come from having a particular background that relates to the skills session. So just for example, the lady I just mentioned who was a former swimming teacher who's helping out with the swimming group. But similarly, as Marianne was explaining, with our sessions, the gain for every individual taking part isn't just the headline of the activity. So learning to swim, or doing the pottery, or an art class, or perhaps having just a fitness session. The other incredible gift that every volunteer gives the people we support and our whole Meath community is the gift of broadening their social sphere, the gift of social inclusion, having a conversation with someone that you would not have had otherwise. And at the beginning of this presentation, Alice and Kate, you're explaining that this is in the context of a sort of drive to encourage people to think about volunteering in the area, and that nationally there's been a little bit of a dip in volunteer numbers. And that is something we've seen ourselves here at the Meath since the pandemic. And I do think here at the Meath, especially, the people we support were perhaps disproportionately affected by lockdown. So it sounds a bit weird to be talking about that now. It all seems like years ago, doesn't it? But actually, I would say for people with learning difficulties, such as the people we support in this community, they were at greater risk of sort of social exclusion, and the volunteers that we have now really are still helping them to kind of bounce back, to increase that social sphere, perhaps step out a little bit out of comfort zones, which have still shrunk a little bit, and we're still actually encouraging them to try something new, keep going, have a new goal, talk to someone new. So volunteers really do bolster our whole community here at the Meath. So as well as the Skills Centre, we do have other areas within our services where we are all too pleased to welcome volunteers. Another aspect is it's called our Hive, which is a cafe and sort of social space on site at the Meath, which again is forms a really important part of daily life at the Meath. It's kind of it's literally in the heart of their home, and it's kind of the social space where people can meet, eat, kind of thrive, chat together, have informal sessions and have fun social events, but not in the kind of more formalized learning skills-based environment of the day centre. It's a not-for-profit subsidised cafe that has an emphasis on slightly kind of healthier, fresh food, and also affordable, because the people here at the Meath, both residents, staff and volunteers, don't necessarily have the deepest of pockets. And of course, as we look after vulnerable adults on site, the cafe being in their care home, we don't want to have lots and lots of unhealthy options temptingly on offer right under their noses. So we've just got to be mindful of the fact that obviously it's their home. So we run at the Hive. The cafe service is open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. So we are welcoming volunteers to come and help serve at the cafe. But actually, with the cafe volunteer role, a big part of it is just chatting to people, chatting to the people we support. It's really not like Starbucks, where it's super busy and take an order and it's all a bit impersonal. We're not. It's really not like that. It's a much more kind of slower paced cafe and social space, and in times when it's not busy, it's absolutely invaluable to just have a volunteer who can chat to residents who perhaps have got they don't have a session on, they've got a bit of spare time. We have a selection of games and books in the Hive as well. They absolutely love it if someone just takes the time to get chatting and show some interest in their lives. We also run some events at the Hive, so a monthly early evening supper club, and that's something that is, we're very grateful for any voluntary support with that. So they typically volunteers will arrive at 5, ready for a 5:30 supper club. It's only once a month, and we're all typically all out by 7:30. And at the moment we're running a social around the world theme series of supper clubs, which help to really champion social inclusion. So people who live at the Meath typically would have dinner obviously in their own houses with their own housemates, and really you can't at the Meath on site have dinner with a friend or a girlfriend or boyfriend who lives in a different house. You can go out for dinner, but not at the Meath. So the Hive supper clubs kind of bridge that gap of eating in and going out, as young people say these days. So that we found that to be a real social benefit. And I also, we sort of always add in a themed informal kind of social activity. So it could be a quiz to do with the country we're visiting in the Around the World Supper Club, or I have been known to be doing a little bit of Bollywood dancing and other things like that. So we are really flexible. So I know one thing about volunteering is it's got to obviously match some very basic requirements, as well as interests and kind of what every individual wants to get out of it, and perhaps individual experiences. On a really basic level, it's when are people free? How flexible can we be? So we do also find that perhaps there's a bit of a trend towards volunteers being less available on a set day every week, this whole day. And we've actually kind of adapted to be able to welcome people on a more ad hoc basis. So events such as the Supper Club at the Hive are once a month. And we also run at the Hive a social Saturday session every other Saturday morning, which again is similar to the supper clubs, but just informal. There's normally a bit of a theme, just a chance for the people we support who are around at weekends to go and have a sociable space on their own site, which in the winter months as well is especially important. And we find that at the weekends, it does tend to be the case that the people we support who have family members nearby or indeed still alive are off and out and busy and doing things, but actually it's some of our residents who are perhaps a little bit more at risk of social exclusion, who don't have family members around, really benefit from having that opportunity to just have a little informal social Saturday morning. So that's every other Saturday morning. And we also at the Meath really need to work hard to fundraise. So we receive statutory care packages for through every residence local authority, which covers the very basics. And in fact, to be honest, evermore doesn't quite cover the basics, but that's another matter. And we work really hard to be proactive to fundraise, and also in so doing keep up and maintain the profile of the Meath Epilepsy Charity, but also epilepsy and disabilities as a whole within our local community, and a little bit broader than local. So one thing we do to raise money that we are absolutely reliant on a team of volunteers for is a programme of fundraising events. So we have some events coming up. We have typically a annual carol service. That's a big thing up in London at St Clement Danes Church. We rely on volunteers to support with that. We've actually even got an opera coming up in June. So we have some quite high profile big events that bring in a lot of vital income, but also just as important is bringing it maintaining that sort of local visibility within our own community. And we have more in the summer months, a kind of when it's we always call it gazebo season, when the sun comes out, we suddenly have lots of fetes and functions to go to within Godalming areas. So we've got coming up Choir Blast in Godalming, the Godalming Town Show. These are all events where even if it's just a volunteer can help with just a couple of hours at a stand, that really does make a big difference. So does anyone have any questions about how we support people, who we are, what we do, or anything more about volunteering roles?
Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. Obviously we've met, and I've been lucky enough to come over to the Meath, and I've been in the Hive having a nice coffee. It's such a lovely place to be. I know as soon as I went in to the whole building, the skills centre, it's a really lovely feeling. It's lovely and warm, and it's got that family feeling. So I always will promote the Meath.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do my best, but Yeah, I was going to say we are really at the moment on our project as well. Alice and I are looking into more sort of promoting more ad hoc events. So because like you say, we all know that commitment is hard and people want to do, have more flexible things. So I'm sure we can help more with that, Helen, as well. So we'll have to chat about that. But yeah, we're going to do a bit more about it with our project. So hopefully that will be
Fantastic.
fruitful. Yeah.
Thank you. There's one thing on that subject I just wanted to explain, if I may, which is I suppose it would be a little bit more like perhaps like a bank volunteer. So because we're to volunteer on site, because we support vulnerable adults, we do require volunteers to undergo a DBS check, which we do, and there's no charge. But that does then, for ad hoc volunteering, that would still need to be in place if the person were, even if it's just an hour here, an hour there, every so often, be volunteering on site. For volunteers, if they're only going to be volunteering for like ad hoc things at fundraising events which are held off-site, then that wouldn't be an issue. I just wanted to just make sure I managed expectations there.